Ideally, they should not marry another software engineer, but that's not how the world works. I think in my research,
Today on the Develop Yourself podcast, I have Samir Ranjan, CTO, Director of Data Science at Catenate, a company building AI platforms that help people make better decisions about their careers and skills. Samir has a semi unconventional path. You have an engineering degree, business analytics, and then you've spent the last few years building tools that quantify soft skills and personality to help students and professionals navigate their careers. And you've even got a patent for one of those tools. And that's one of the many reasons I was really excited to talk to you here, because you have some data about what actually moves the needle for engineers and hiring and promotion. And I really wanted to dig into that with you because a lot of people out there listening are trying to stand out or just make sense of a very chaotic job market and figure out what's either holding them back or what they can do to stand out. And I'm curious to get your perspective on the hiring side of things. And I thought that could be really useful. Samir, welcome to the show.
thank you so much, Brian. I'm really excited. And I think what you are doing is super great. People need these kind of forums because believe it or not, but books are out of fashion.
Oh, hey man, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to do this. I'm sure you're a busy guy. You know, you're running a company, and I want to know a little bit about that before we get into like the hard hitting questions here. But like, what took
Sure.
you from mining engineering into
Yeah.
AI and data science? First of all, what is mining engineering?
Oh, so by mining engineering, you have seen underground mines, like you
Yeah.
basically dig up the earth, go inside it, and extract the minerals and ores out of it.
Okay.
So that was the most fascinating thing I ever did or ever imagined because I got to travel to the parts of the world where no one travels because mines are always at the remote places. It cannot be in between a city.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to live various cultures when I was working in India. Few of the laborers who were working there and the colleagues, they are from different part of the world, from China,
Hmm.
from Peru. And that basically showed me like the difference in the skills of the people can also be very much geologically tagged. And
Interesting.
that's where like whole thing started to come into my brain that can I collect enough data to make that, yes, there is a claim to what I'm hypothesizing. And evidently I was able to do that. So that was my first break to the mining, to the data world. And we usually have this saying that data doesn't lie.
Hmm.
And able to see it in front of my eyes that data doesn't lie.
This
It can
is
show that nobody's thinking. So yeah.
That is super interesting because most kids don't grow up and say, you know what, I want to be a mining engineer. But that sounds
I,
super cool. So you went from like physical mining to like data mining. And
yeah.
so
You have
you took that experience and you thought maybe I could like transfer this over into like data science and AI. Okay.
right.
How did you do that? Did you self teach? Did you go through university? How did you make this massive switch?
Yeah. So while I was working in mining engineering is nothing but think about civil engineering happening 1,000 feet below the ground.
Hmm.
And everything that is happening is around processes, which is there will be a lot of people who will be working in tandem, trusting each other that they don't create chaos 1,000 feet below the ground and they don't start killing each other into the highest pressure environment.
Hmm.
And at the same time, they're able to understand that even at night or day, the mines look same underground. It doesn't matter. You can't
Oh
tell like
yeah.
whether it is day or night at 1,000 feet below the ground because there is no sunlight. And the air is also artificial, which is it is natural, but it is artificially made. So you have pumps, which is basically and big fans, which is basically pulling out the air, whole artificial environment. But one thing that I realized, like everything that is happening there can be took as a concept and applied to any field. And that's when I was collecting a lot of data around how I can optimize the process, how can I make sure optimize the human resource department. I
Hmm.
was able to see that if I'm able to collect enough data points and able to understand which variables are important to make any conclusion, that's basically the whole basis of data science. And I was enjoying my job too much. One day, one of the company's partner basically said that don't enjoy your life too much at the age of 22. You have to grind, go learn something which you might be really good at,
Pretty good
which was
advice.
statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically on that advice, I thought like that changed my life. I came here in States in 2018, December, and did my master's from UT Dallas in business analytics and AI. And that basically, I was able to take a lot of the processes and the concept of the business side that I
Hmm.
learned from mining to this degree. So it evidently became a little easier for me to understand, okay, whatever I was doing in the real world was actually being taught in the masters, and then a layer above it, like how do you actually inference things. So I basically married the two universe, which nobody thinks of
Yeah,
marrying them together.
that is really interesting. And also, I mean, I guess I mean, I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know anything about mining, but I'm just assuming like people at a high level, like you're seeing these human trends, these behaviors within humans, and then applying them to other domains, I assume. And like at the end of the day, humans aren't that, I mean, different, I guess. We
Yeah.
probably fall into some distinct patterns and stuff, which I'm sure you can tell us about. Before we get into some of the like the takeaways on career things and stuff like that, which I know people are probably the most interested to learn about, what is Catenate? That's a really cool name for that company that you're part of.
Catenate. So this came from a word concatenation,
Hmm.
which basically means chain reaction. And the idea that we had was if you are able to understand who you are as a person, you will be able to solve primarily four things about your life, which is how you should get educated or what you should get educated on, what kind of career you need to have, how can you manage finances around you, and the fourth was love and relationships. And every four of it depends on the personality and how you deal with people. And when it comes how you deal with people, it means soft skill. So if I add these two data points and I'm able to collect these data points, I'll be able to make some informed decision about my education, my career, my finances, and my love life. Right. And I'll give you a very simple example.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you'll ever go to a casino,
Mhm.
uh, let's say we all go to Vegas, right? Inside any casino, we will not be able to distinguish whether it is day or night because stores are 24/7, the lighting is almost always same, and people are playing on slot machine,
Mhm.
craps, or they are doing the poker table or roulette, right? But not everybody has same appetite of bet.
Mhm.
Few people go there because they have $100 and they have preconceived notion that I just want to go and gamble that $100,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I'll say I'm off. And I'll say that I check box one thing at Vegas. But there will be a lot more people who will think like, I have $100. Now let me try and make $1,000 out of it. And they will be someone who will be very serious about, okay, I'm going to play roulette or I'm going to play poker and they'll know everything about it.
Mhm.
And then there will be third kind of people, which is, I don't want to gamble because I think gambling is an addiction and it is very bad thing. Right?
Mhm.
Then there will be people who come from cultural background that culturally said like gambling is bad. Right. So every person who is on the same floor at Las Vegas who looks almost same, they have two hand, two leg, two eyes, same kind of body work, they will have a different notion because of the personality they have. Now,
This is
how
really
they
good.
treet,
Yeah.
same thing, right? Like we talk to each other, and that's where our personality gets married to the soft skills, which is how
Mhm.
do I talk? How do I negotiate my thoughts? How do I put across my leadership view or the thought views? Right. And that's when you become a human. When you marry these two things, it becomes human. And I thought if I'm able to predict and figure out like the soft skill and personality of the people, I'll be able to help them out in career, in their love life, in their finances, in the education. Right now, we are predominantly working on education and career side,
Yeah, yeah.
but the long-term vision is to be on those two rails also.
This is super interesting, and the gambling thing really stuck out because I have my partner. She loves to gamble, right? We'll go to Vegas and she'll spend like all night gambling for fun. She loves it, and she will be out there trying to make a bunch of money. I'm the guy that goes there with like $100 maybe, and I'm like, I'm done. That's it, and I'm never gonna. I have no interest in ever doing it again. I don't care, and I'm just going about my day. And it is really interesting because she has like friends in that world, and I'm outside of that community. This is very interesting because you already have my brain thinking about like the ways in which we try to fit ourselves into certain careers or communities or whatever, and they may not be conducive to the kind of person we are. And to bring this back to like
100%.
software engineering, I'm curious to understand this, or if you know any information on this. Are there any traits of people that you generally see in software engineers that tend to be like you probably would make a good software engineer if you have X traits?
Right. So one thing that we have seen is, and again, I'll first start with the generic ones and then I'll deep dive into it.
Sure.
All the software engineers, the good ones, are the problem solvers, right? They have to solve the problem. And second is they have to have a quantitative aptitude. What I mean by now problem solvers are, there are two kinds of people. One who are told what to do, and the second are the people who figure out what to do, right? Both have the same narration from the project manager or the company or whatever they are doing. They'll get the same narration. But now it depends on two individual person. One who is trying to, who will just follow the steps, and second, who will try to reach to the end goal without even following the steps. The
Hmm.
better software engineers are always the second one, who are trying to figure out something without even understanding the step one, step two, step three, step. Now, this goes against notion of every big company and the
Hmm.
software
Of
company out there
course.
because they run on SOPs, right? This is where the second piece comes, which is quantitative aptitude. What I mean by that is you have to understand the numbers really well. So if somebody who has shown a good tendency on understanding how the number system works, which might not be addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division,
Hmm.
it is a number system, which means that can I work 4 hours today and finish a task than working 6 hours over the weekend? Let's say I don't want to work on weekday,
Yeah.
but I know I can work like three hours on weekend and I'll still be able to do the job. People who have these notions, they are usually the better software engineers than people who think the other way. Because the number system is we all have a week in life, right?
Hmm.
Every week restarts on Monday. So I have 7 days. Every day is 24 hours. Now I understand that I have an option to not work on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. But if I put three hours on Saturday and Sunday, I'll be still able to complete my job that I have to show it on Monday.
Yeah.
So if somebody has that kind of a trait, they usually the good and the great software engineers.
This makes you just validated me, man. Thank you for saying that. Wow. Because I'm like, this is, I didn't, it's so funny. I thought it was so unique. I'm like, man, because I think like that. I don't like working afternoons. It's just a thing I don't like doing. I hate working
Yeah.
afternoons. And so I usually will just kind of do work on weekends, like in the mornings. And that way I kind of just know that I can always not have to work during the week in the afternoons, which is when I usually hate to work. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. On a whole other level, I have to know this. Who should software engineers marry? Like, is there a trait for like, here's
I,
who software
well,
engineers should date and marry?
yeah, ideally they should not marry another software engineer, but that's not how the world works. I think in my research,
Hmm.
I'm not a relationship
Sure.
expert at all, but if I just have to talk about the personality and how they correlate with each other, software engineers are mostly analytical. They have to marry someone who is more emotional so that it becomes a combined unit.
Mhm.
You get married because you want to form a singularity, which is both of you come together and become one world, right? But you have to bring something different. If you are both same person, same personality, it would be a huge issue. Second thing, which I often found is people who are the great communicator on both sides, they should marry
Mm.
because most of the marriages in the world fails because either one is not communicating or both are not communicating. So you need to understand how to communicate to be in marriage.
Yeah.
In friendship, it is fine because you always have option to say anything and get away with it. In marriage, you don't. You have to live with that person. so
This
so
is this
you
is
have
good
to be
advice,
really.
man. This is good advice. I mean, because I tend to be so analytical sometimes. I've been called cold, and I don't mean to.
Yeah,
I look at a problem and say, how can we fix it? And I always want to do that. And my partner, she, sometimes hates that, of
yeah,
course, because I don't
yeah,
I don't want you to fix the problem. I just want you to listen to the problem. I
yeah,
could only imagine if I had two of me in this house, my kids would hate it. It'd be
yeah.
terrible. This is underrated advice. On your platform, you have 9 soft skills that you evaluate. And we talked a lot about what matters for engineers the most. What are some things that you think software engineers in general like overemphasize or they think is really important that probably is not?
Right. So thing is, software engineers overemphasize on knowing all the tools
Mm.
and all the techniques in the world, right? I understand software engineering is something which is evolving at a faster pace than any other industry right now.
Hmm.
But that also means that you have to be really strong in the fundamentals of software engineering. But at the same time, every software engineer think that they have to be someone who is always very agile. That's not true. Software engineer doesn't have to be very agile, but they have to have an ability that we also judge with our platform, which is learning ability.
Mm.
How quickly can you learn something? I think that's the newer notion which most of the software engineers have to adapt or have to learn, that how you can forget one skill and learn the newer skill, because the basic remains same, but the fundamentals of programming, fundamentals of how do you write code
Mm.
has changed a lot with Claude Cowork and
Yeah,
most of these tools which generate any of the software codes. Nobody needs somebody to write like whole day of patchwork
for
and the
sure.
small segments of code.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been my experience as well. I think there's a lot of software engineers still clinging on to this identity, and I get it because it feels like it's so much part of your identity. But I'm also working with some really top-notch engineers myself right now, and we're all very open about our Claude usage and AI tool usage, and we're pretty open about admitting that we don't really write any code right now. That hasn't
Yeah,
been a problem. We're still solving the same problems. The problems have not
yeah.
changed. We're doing them a bit faster. We're doing them differently. We're also learning and creating tech debt. But yeah, we're learning a lot in this new world that we're all kind of going through together. But I do feel bad for a lot of software engineers that feel like they are losing part of themselves in many ways. How do you think like a software engineer now should present themselves, maybe versus 3 years ago? Like, what are some qualities or traits or things they want to show during an interview that may be more important now than they were pre AI?
Right. So one thing that I have been telling all the clients and the companies that call me to help them with the hiring needs is you need to hire entrepreneurs, which
Mm.
is or entrepreneurial mindset people who can think out of the box and who needs to understand that actually there is no box. That you can think anything in the world where everything is available a prompt away. You should be able to do much more thinking work rather than writing and cleaning a code cleaning work. Now, the notion that I have seen, again, I'll divide the whole working class into three bunch. One who are fresh out of college,
Mm.
22, 23, 24, 25 years old. And then there are people who have been in industry for 10 years, 35 to 40 years old.
Yep.
And then people who are at a middle management level, 40 to 50-year old, and then 50 and above who are like at the leadership level. Most of the people that I have seen is having the trouble in not letting go of the old habits are people who are at age 40 to 50,
Mm-hmm.
because they have not upskilled themselves in the last 15 to 20 years, which means that for them to digest anything new is very tough.
Mm.
Also, I think if you look at biologically and how the world works, they might have had a kid who is like 5-year old, 6-year old, or couple of years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now their problem thinking capacity has changed a lot, which is their world is now not just couple, but they are like 4 people family or 3 people family.
Mm-hmm.
And their problems are, does the milk rate is going up, the egg rates are going up, or the bread is available or not, or am I eating organic or I'm not eating organic? Right? It's not about innovation anymore. And that's very natural. That
For sure.
happens to all of us. And then again, after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, when the kids become like they go to high school and the college, then again that notion comes back, which is, oh, I have to think again. And third thing that I have seen is baggage of failure. It is not there in the younger generation, which
Mm-hmm.
is if somebody who is, let's say, 35-year old, they might not have that many baggage of failures because they have not done a lot, right? And then you are also competing with somebody who is 21-year-old Instagrammer who is giving all the life
For
advices
sure.
that doesn't is practical for you,
Mm-hmm.
but you're living in that noise. So that's what the main segment that we have seen in our data and research, that people at different age group is behaving very differently right now with all the AI elements coming in. And one thing that I have seen is there are a few people in every age group who have a very different mindset, which is they are what I call like the innovator mindset. They
Mm-hmm.
want to go and innovate something. And if those are the kind of people whom you should always, and the people who are getting hired are those kind of people, rather than people who have been very dormant in learning or not experimenting enough with the newer technology. So yeah, that's
That
what we have seen.
That makes a ton of sense. I mean, I have a son, he's 20 years old. I have another son who's 13 and a daughter who's 9. And I wonder about this a lot because I have none of us know what the future brings. But I'm curious to get your perspective, especially like what is the thing like my 20-year-old should be probably learning? Because I was shocked a couple of days ago. He's helping with a small business I'm doing, and he's doing some sales, and I wanted to teach him some Claude code. I said, "Hey, you know Claude, right?" He's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "You don't know Claude code? Like, what?" I'm like, I failed. I failed as a father. So I'm thinking this is probably more valuable or as valuable. I don't know. It feels like this is the time when the one thing that I feel really confident that you should be learning is at least how to use these tools.
Mm.
He's not going into a
Yeah.
technical discipline, but I'm like, I don't think it matters. I think that you're going to have to
Yeah.
learn these tools. But if there is like a technical skill or a soft skill or some combination that you think will set you up well for the next, few years, what would those things be?
Right. One thing that I think, let's talk about the technical skill. One is you have to be well versed with all the tools which are new, which might be the cloud code, which
Mhm.
might be the cloud bot, right? Those
Cursor or
things which is
whatever,
not
yeah.
super technical, but it still can do the job. I have been working with one lady. She was veteran and she came back, wanted to help society. And she never had a background in software engineering at all. But if she wants to develop a screen on the product or anything, she'll basically send me that screen template, which is this is how the screen should look like because she will basically cloud code out of it
Mhm.
and she'll give me the color palette. This is what the vision is. This is how it should look like. And she's around, if I'm not wrong, over 50 years of age, which means that the AI has made communication of expectation much easier
Mhm.
because now the client also knows what they want and they can send it to the developer so that it can be developed in that fashion. So, what everybody needs to know is why and how you can use these tools and how you can better your job, whatever you're doing. Now, the second thing, the soft skill, which I think everybody needs to learn is how do you communicate, right? And also, how do you set expectations? Most of the issue that I have seen with the newer generation is they grow up with all the Instagrams of the world,
Mhm.
TikTok has made them much more isolated, and they
Yeah.
even find people on swipes, right?
Yeah.
Right swipe, left swipe thing,
Mhm.
right? So they don't have a practice or courage of to go out to someone and talk to them. But this is the generation which has heart, right? They're
Yeah.
the first generation which who cares about a lot of things which we were never taught to care about. So they need to learn how to communicate what they care about so that they become much more better in their job. And the third element I'll add is the newer generation has to be artistic, which is
Hmm.
they should learn some or other art form because you can take the learnings from there, translate it into your job. Which is if somebody is a good musician,
Mhm.
they understand how beats work. And when you talk, if you understand how to talk in a rhythm, you become the best orator that is out there. Because when you are talking to someone, there's always a rhythm.
This is
So if
interesting.
you follow that, so if you know how to catch, if you are a good singer and if you know how to form a rhythm in the way you are communicating, you will distinguish yourself from the other person. Because everybody is speaking English, they just
Mm.
have accents. But
Mhm.
one thing that differs is the tone and the tune in which you speak. Same goes for the people who paint, who are painters. They can create the better user experience because they understand how eyes respond to the colors and the patterns. So I always suggest like three things you need to know. One is understand how to communicate your feeling. Second is to go learn something artistic so that you can take those skills that you will learn while practicing, put it into work. And the third and the most important thing is to learn one of the tools. It might be Claude, it might be ChatGPT, anything is
Sure.
fine. But learn it in a way that you are able to make your life better.
That's really solid advice. The artistic thing is really interesting because that's not something that would have immediately come to me. And I'm already sensing probably there's somebody listening and they're thinking, I'm not a good speaker. That's not my thing, right? That's not me. And honestly, I actually had a problem with stuttering years ago. And I have always been very nervous about public speaking. And I got over it by lots of practice and just
Mhm.
kind of trial by fire, right? I had to get in front of people to speak as I got more into management positions. I looked up like YouTube videos on how to speak and slow down and all these things. And then I thought, oh, this is cool. This is learnable. The same thing with when I had this really bad stutter, I had to slow down and speak a lot slower than I'm used to speaking because I realized I was talking way too fast
Right.
and really being a bad communicator. And I learned from doing it myself. I'm like, oh, this is learnable. You don't have to be born with this. But I know some people feel like that. Like they probably felt like I did 10 years ago. What do you tell those people? How are some practical ways that they can build up these skills?
One thing is, I think you answered your question, which is practice, right? These are the soft skill is something which is learned over the period of time, right? If you want to speak in front of 1,000 people, you have to start in front of two, and you work your way up. There won't be like out of sudden you just woke up and went in front of 1,000 people and you are able to deliver a perfect speech.
Yeah.
You might, then you'll call you are a God gifted person, but not everybody is God gifted.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to learn those skills, be it communication, be it leadership, be it the presentation skills, how you present yourself. And people can start very small. I'll give you a very small example. Most of the people are introvert. They think that they cannot go and introduce themselves. I often suggest them the best thing that you can do is if you're going to Walmart or Kroger or Target or any of those things,
Mm-hmm.
just try to dress up and go. Don't go up in your joggers. Try to dress up and go and let people stare you, right? That will actually start adding some kind of confidence in you that I'm very okay being seen. So that introvert has the problem that they're never seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have something to break that mold. And when you break a habit, then only you learn. So that's one of the simplest example, but it goes same for everyone. Like if you don't have any biological problem, which is uh, you don't stutter because of some deformity,
Mm-hmm.
you should try to speak to as many people as possible. You'll figure out your pace. And the third thing, which I believe is we live in a world where a lot of research has already been done on a lot of problem. Go read about it. It
Mm-hmm.
will give you a lot of solution rather than thinking that, oh, these are the things that I cannot do.
Yeah.
Because I think we live in a world where there are plenty of answers. I am not going to say which is right, which is wrong answer,
Sure. Sure.
but there are answers. So you should definitely look it up.
I like that a lot. Like that's a really cool practical way to do it. That's really interesting. I remember getting basically bullied as a kid to like go talk to girls, right? Like, oh, and that kind of got me over my fear of rejection a lot too, because I got rejected, tons of times as a young man,
Yeah.
and then eventually I learned, okay, that's not the end of the world. Same thing with interviews. I did so many interviews that the first time I got rejected, I thought, oh my God, this is like an indictment of my skills, and I'm the worst software engineer in the world, and who would ever hire me? The 20th time you realize, okay, it's not the end of the world, right? Like you stop having the physical reaction to like the rejection that you feel.
Yeah.
Back to
Yeah.
the data piece, because I know this is another hot topic, and I have no clue what you're going to say about this, but junior devs are getting slammed, right? They're getting told
Mm.
AI is making you replaceable by CEOs, by people in social media. What does the data say about this? And is there data to show that there are some industries that are more likely to hire juniors? Or yeah, what are you seeing in that area?
So I'll tell you two data points. One, that people are being fired. That is truth. Like a lot of people are getting laid off. But there is another truth which people are not seeing, that a lot of newer companies are getting formed every day. And I saw the last year data. That was the highest number of companies ever registered. And
Wow.
not just in one part of the world, but every part of the world, that people are starting their own ventures, which means that, yes, it is right that a lot of people are getting laid off.
Hmm.
But then there are a lot many people who are now becoming much more independent with the help of AI. Earlier, if I have to start a consulting practice, I need to hire at least one SDR, which is a sales rep.
Hmm.
I'll have a one junior dev who will do the coding and a lot of things for me, and one business analyst. Now I don't need all three of that. I can go and hire a senior SDR just by using Claude, because Claude can act like a senior SDR for me, which means that at the end of the day, yes, junior devs are getting replaced, but it is also giving every single person a chance to figure out who they are and start something of their own. And the world is too big. We have a lot of problems to solve. So there is enough meat for everyone to come and eat. Right? It's just that most of the people think that we are not able to get a job. That is why we are bad. As you were saying, right? Like
Hmm.
it's rejection is not a judgment on your skills. It is rejections are often something which there might be parameters that you cannot control. There might
For
be,
sure.
I'll just talk about North America right now. It might be visa issue, immigrations issue. It might be the cost, which is you're costing me an hour where I can get it done with Chat GPT like $20 a month, right?
Hmm.
That's the ROI. That's how business operates. They are not a charitable organization. They operate on balance sheets. So those all things will happen. But I think the market will stabilize by the end of 2027, where we will have much more clear angle on what kind of job roles people need. You
Yeah,
might have seen social media manager was not a job role 5 years ago.
this is true.
COVID happens. Social media manager is now a role.
Yeah,
Content manager is now a role. There are brand managers. There are branding companies. Then there is thumbnail experts, SEO experts on YouTube,
this is true.
Instagram collab experts. Those roles were not there, but those are real practical roles that exist today, and those are people who make good money.
Oh yeah,
So
they're super important.
they're super important now. They're part of the ecosystem. So I think like we've our whole society will move from services to more of a product and services mixed society, which is everybody who present any kind of service will be productized. So for example, I remember 5 years ago, I didn't had any HVAC app, but now we have HVAC apps also. We didn't had an app to control the construction sector. So they are also coming into IT, which is basically opening up a lot
Hmm.
of new doors for people. Same goes for healthcare.
Oh yeah,
Healthcare right now is the industry which is on super short on every kind of resource. The issue is they don't know the domain knowledge so that they're not able to get hired in that domain. But that can be easily solved by learning few things over a period of 6 month, 3 month timeline, and you'll again be hireable into an industry. So that's my advice to junior devs also, which is go learn one industry, even if you want outside of your normal routine. And the second thing is see like how where the tide is turning, right? Like I
hmm,
think the newer job roles will be AI orchestrators. It would be agent orchestrator. It would be agent managers. You need human in the loop for every AI thing. AI cannot make its own decision.
for sure.
So you'll have a lot of people like that. So, but that would stabilize by end of 2027, definitely.
I hope so. And I mean, I'm seeing this. It's funny you mentioned the social media manager stuff. I do YouTube videos and stuff, and I sometimes see people reach out for like sponsorships, which I don't do because I have my own thing I'm promoting, right? But it's taught me a lot about like, hey, I do have a lot of opinions on about social media and how to do it. And at a startup recently that I worked at, I was kind of informing them like, oh, here's maybe your emails. I might do this a little differently, the landing page. And I found out, if I really wanted to make a pivot into like marketing, I think I might be able to do it. I think I just might, just because I followed some of my own passions, and I write all the time, and I see there's other avenues for me to go outside of software engineering. I like software engineering. I have a career in it, but I see that following your passions could lead you to some places that you might not think in 2026,
Yeah.
27, and beyond. Where
Yeah.
yeah, these things
Yeah.
are super important. And before I let you go, I'm curious that if there's a habit that you would want to put into every early career engineer's routine, or not so early, what would it be?
Yeah, one habit I would suggest is start reading something which is tangible. For example, pick up a newspaper, pick up a magazine, and try to read it with your eyes. Feel how the text are written, because at the end of the day, you need a break from the screens. And if you can learn something which is static, which is not like 15-second or 20-second or 30-second reel, I think that will help you in long term, because most of the people, which I fear, this is my personal fear, that people will lose the ability to think and write. And if you cannot write your thoughts, you will be manned by a machine rather than the other way around. So you should always, if you can develop this habit, you'll be way good in your life, in your thoughts, in understanding the opinions, rather than getting swayed by the first reel that you see.
That is great advice. That's a big fear of mine too, because I see that reading is on the decline. I enjoy reading, and I read terrible mystery novels and things like that. I'm just assuming you must read a lot too, and you probably do it for fun too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
This is for fun, because
Yeah.
read like I don't want to use the word shit, but I read
Yeah, right.
anything and everything that is out there because
Yeah,
it
it's
just
fun.
opens up my brain. Like, okay, somebody is writing
Yeah,
something which nobody's thinking about.
yeah.
So
I
I like it.
Sweet. Yeah, I love that. And I do feel sad that I feel like there's a generation that's reading a lot less. I'm like, it's supposed to be fun, you know? And it does help you organize your thoughts and helps you decompress and helps me sleep. Like reading has been
Yeah.
so beneficial in so many ways. I'm really glad you brought that up, and I do hope more people read. Where can people find you, man? You are a we should have made this a longer one. We might have to meet again to talk again. This is really good. But where can people find you online?
So the best place is LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm super active on LinkedIn. So reach out to me on LinkedIn and I try to respond to all the 1,000 messages that I get on LinkedIn. I think that's my ADHD. So
Ooh,
I
man.
have to respond.
You're a saint, dude. Amazing. And Catenate, people, I'll have it in the show notes, but Catenate, what a cool name for a company as well. I got to look more into that too. Very, very interesting stuff you're doing there. I really appreciate your insights, and I appreciate being authentic. And I always tell people this: when you keep it real, it makes for such good information for people. So, really appreciate you taking time out today to be on the show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was fun.
Absolutely.
Super, super fun.
We got to have you back.
Sure. Anytime.